Good evening, everyone. I'm your host, Sudeep, career designer. Welcome to Classroom to Boardroom Talk Show. And this is the episode number 30. And we have gathered here enlightened to you different ways by which the transition can be happen from classroom to boardroom. And we will discuss about the lot of hurdles, challenges that come along the way. Take charge of your career and listen to the different eminent persons who have excelled in their own field. Today we have invited one of the great personality who is a TEDx speaker, John Maxwell certified leadership and communication coach and a solo social entrepreneur. She comes with a 2 decades of experience as an educator, entrepreneur, and a trainer. She is also a managing partner in a leadership and training organization known as Leadership Card. She works with emerging leaders on their self leadership journey and to become effective communicators. Since 2021, she has been hosting a podcast called Leadership Talks for Emerging Leaders. She talks passionately about communications, personal growth, mindset shift, self leadership, women empowerment. She is an founder of Give Back to Community Trust, which is currently supporting 149 underprivileged students in rural India by bridging the education gap through technology. I'm pleased to welcome Kirandeep Sandhu with thunderous round of applause. And today we'll talk about the communicate to lead. Welcome, Miss Kirandeep,
Hi,
in this
Sudeep.
particular talk.
Thank you so much for having me on your show today, Classroom to Boardroom. Hello to all the viewers who are joining us across the globe. An absolute privilege for me to be sharing my thoughts, my ideas, and just having a conversation about how can we communicate and lead. Thank you, Sudeep.
Yeah. Can you briefly introduce about yourself? If I missed any points about you, so
I think
yeah.
you have actually covered everything about me. I think brilliantly put. But I can just add who is Kirandeep Sandhu. That's $1 million question. Many times in all my mindset classes, we start off as who am I? And I would just say that if my disc personality, and I have an influencing personality. If I look at my strength from the Gallup's survey, they say that my biggest strength is I'm a visionary. But along with that, basically, I am a person who is here to serve the community. And that's why my community project, which is called Give Back to the Community, was also founded on the simple fundamental principle that as humans, we need to be constantly giving back to the community. I'm an educator, and what can I give back? I educate, I empower, I enlighten. And that's my 3E mission that I'm constantly on in order to empower more individuals in their growth journey. Thank you so much, Sudeep.
Just one thing I want to ask you. So, in this particular journey as an educator, so I feel that so you have faced a lot of challenges, correct? And how you have overcome those particular challenges
As
because
an
life is
educator,
not smooth. Yeah.
the challenges. I think life is filled up with challenges, and it's not only as an educator that you have challenges. As a mother, I have challenges. As an educator, I have challenges. As a daughter, I have challenges. As a wife, I have challenges. As a managing partner, I have challenges. As a coach, I have challenges. I think that is the nature of this world, that we are constantly surrounded by challenges. What do these challenges do to us? I talk about it in my TEDx talk also, which is called The Mindset of the Wonder Woman. We are constantly suffering from the 3F syndrome. The 3Fs are fears, failures, and forget. We're constantly Our challenges, our obstacles put us into this whirlpool where we start fearing these challenges and obstacles. We start fearing our failures so that we can't pick up, and we forget our truest identity. So, in order to be able to overcome any challenge that I am placed in, I follow my 3C antidote. And the 3C antidote is to overcome my fears, I have to be courageous every single time. To be able to overcome my failures, I have to be consistent. Whether someone is seeing or not seeing, keep doing. That's what I believe in. And the third one is forget. Many times we are constantly surrounded by people who make us forget who we really are. And in that situation, it is so important to have the conviction to reinvent your identity so that you don't get lost in the crowd. So I believe that as humans, all of us face these three F syndrome. And if you want to overcome these obstacles that come in your life, you need to have courage and practice it every day because it's like a muscle. You got to flex it. You have to be consistent and you have to know who you really are.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's a great message. Exactly, 3C to overcome all the struggle. Correct.
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah. So another thing is that, so I thought of, yeah, so there is the quote is saying that the your voice matters, speaks to be heard. So what do you mean by this particular message?
So I believe that your voice matters, so speak to be heard. This quote is very empowering. It starts with me itself. Before I could start talking about it with other people, as a, as a person who is constantly living in society, and we are constantly having these multiple identities that we hold, sometimes as a leadership coach, sometimes as a mother, sometimes as a spouse, sometimes as a as a friend. We're constantly changing our identities, and many times what happens is that we start shutting our thoughts so that we don't hurt other people. We don't, and we start blending in. And in order for us to refine our identity, we constantly have to remind ourselves that our voice matters, whether we are a housewife or whether we are in the boardroom. If you want to be valued, you need to have an opinion. It doesn't have to mean that you're going to be sitting and fighting with people, but you need to have an opinion about something. You cannot just accept everything that comes your way. You have to be having a choice of expressing what you have. And every one of us says that what do you mean? Freedom of speech is something that is so fundamental. Even in the Indian Constitution, we talk about it. But does everyone actually have the freedom of speech? So here it's a reminder to all the people out there who keep suppressing their inner voice, sometimes in fears that if I speak up in the boardroom, what will people say? If I speak up in the house, what will the children think? If I make a comment in the classroom, what will my teachers think? We constantly just stop ourselves from speaking up because the fears of rejection, of being judged, are constantly in our minds. And we start constantly stopping ourselves from speaking. So, here, the message in this, my journey, is don't forget yourself. Your voice matters. So, speak to be heard because you matter. Your journey matters. And everyone needs to know what is your choice. But it has to be a choice that you want to speak.
Yeah, great message. Yeah. So I just want to know about that because you are being a leadership coach, how the leadership as well as the communication, both the things are linked together. Is there any kind of the linkage is there, do you feel?
Absolutely, absolutely. Wonderful question, Sudeep. What I have learned from my mentor, John Maxwell, the leadership guru, he says, what is leadership? Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing else. And how do we influence other people? We influence people by connecting with them. Because connection is not only by communicating through words. When I say communication, I'm not just talking about you and me speaking in English or Hindi or a language. We're actually talking about overall communication. So, why do we say that there is communication happening even when we haven't opened our mouth? So, how do we actually influence people? So, John Maxwell says in his book, which is Everyone Communicates and Few Connect. He talks about it, and I as being a John Maxwell trainer, I believe that in order to influence, you need to connect. And how do you connect with other people? You got to go beyond your words. Now, when we talk about go beyond your words, and many of us might heard about Dr. Marabian's non-verbal communication experiment, which was done in Stanford. And Dr. Marabian had actually talked about it that 93% of the communication happens through our body language and our tonality, and only 7% of it happens through words. So if we actually thought that we were communicating in order to influence so that we could lead people only through our words, that's a myth that I would like to burst today for you. Because in order to influence other people, you need to go beyond the words. Because people don't remember what you've said to them. They don't remember how you made how people will not remember what you said to them, but people will remember how you made them feel. So
Excellent.
that's very powerful. And that is communication too. Now, that's not speaking, but how did you make them feel while communicating? And when you made them feel empowered, when you gave the person who is in that room with you a number 10, and you showed that you believed in them through your gestures, your body language, your confidence, that person wants to now do something for you. So that's the first one where I would say that in order to connect, you have to go beyond words. You got to show it. You have to make people feel that they are valuable. So the next part would be that you got to communicate with people by connecting with them on common ground. That's one of the chapters in the same book, and and as part of my John Maxwell teaching, I talk about it also. That connect with people on common ground. And what does that even mean? First of all, you have to show that you are available for the people, because every one of us loves engaging in one activity, which is ourselves. When we take out time to engage with someone else and show them that we are listening to them, we are interested in them, we are now communicating at a much deeper level, which is more than just superficial communication. You're asking them questions. You want to know more about this person. You're trying to find common ground between these people. And that is what elevates the level of communication that people have. And that brings it back to influence, and from influence back to leadership. Now imagine you say that you're a leader, but if there's nobody following you, because you have not connected with these people and you're walking alone, means you're not really a leader. And the third point about this, I would say, from another chapter of the book is that in order to communicate and connect with people, you need to be inspiring people. And how do you inspire? Again, there are so many people that we meet in our life, and every one of them we can't engage. We don't actually communicate with them directly. But if they are able to take some action based on what we have shared, that means we have communicated something that they are able to take action. I know that there's so many of my part of my leadership card trainings. Once the trainings will be over, there are many of them who are still part of my communities, leadership card community. I don't engage with them in the regular basis in terms of we don't have classes. But whenever we have our group meetings, and I said, how have you been doing? And they said, well, you have kept on inspiring us with what you do. So leaders who walk the talk are able to do what they have done, show their credibility, show their confidence, give other people who believe in them to take similar action. So what is connecting? You're actually inspiring people to take action, because if it's only talking and no action taken, then that means there was no real communication. So those are my 3 points that I wanted to share with you, that how is leadership and communication actually connected.
Is there any kind of the, you talk about the communications, you talk about the leaderships, so the connection between the communication and leaderships. And here I want to ask you, so if you want to become a successful leader, so is there any kind of the special kind of the communication person has to adapt, do you feel?
So, Sudeep, again, back to, are you able, leadership is all about influence, right? If you're able to influence the thoughts, the ideas, the actions of people, that is basically leadership. Now, when you talk about how can I, what is needed to be a better leader, is that what your question was?
Yeah, become a
So,
successful leader. If
how can I
somebody,
become a successful
yeah,
leader?
yeah,
A long time back, a friend of mine, and I believe this is a principle that has actually been said, that in order to be a leader, what are the qualities of a leader? Um, the exact source I can't remember, but I heard it from a friend of mine, Tosif Hassan, and he talked about the concept of hail. That if you want to be a leader, follow the concept of hail, H, an honest leader, somebody who actually is honest. A, authentic. I, standing for integrity. L, stands for love. And E, he added the E, which stands for empathy. So if you want to be successful, whether in the classroom or in the boardroom, follow the HAIL principle. Because if you are honest with the people who are following you, if you're showing your truest identity to them, if you have integrity in your values and your principles, and you love them, not love yourself, and you are in their shoes, not just in your shoes, I think that you can be a successful leader.
absolutely, absolutely.
At this point, Sudeep, I just want to add this conversation, just tweak it a little bit. That many a times people say, but I'm not a leader. For example, if today a housewife is listening to us, she might be questioning that, Kiran, this conversation is not relevant to me because I'm not a leader. What is leadership? Is leadership a position? Is it a title? Leadership starts by leading yourself, as said by John Maxwell. That if you can, who is the first person that you want to be leading? If you want to lead anyone, lead yourself first, and the rest, as Ashish Datta says, is easy. So here I would always say, is the woman in the kitchen a leader? Absolutely. If she is able to take decisions, if she, what not she, actually a woman every day takes decisions for the betterment of the family, what to cook, how to plan, the management of finances are done by her, but she just doesn't realize what she is doing. A student who is leading themselves in the classroom, is taking action for self improvement every day, is leading himself to become a better version. An individual contributor in the field, if he keeps on waiting for that title and keeps wondering if I'm going to get that compensation and that bonus, I would say first lead yourself to become the best version of yourself, and you will realize titles will come their way, your way. So lead yourself, and to become a leader, follow the HALE principle.
So become a successful leader is there any kind of the special communication he or she needs to follow, or the no?
So, Deep, in order to see what, when we talk about communication, what is communication? Communication, number one, has to be hot.
Mhm.
And when I say hot, well, number one, H stands for honest. Number two, it stands for open. And number three, the T stands for two-way. That means all communication is between two people, correct? A lot of times we are
Yeah.
communicating with ourselves also, but most of the times we are communicating with another person. And over there, you need to be practicing the principle of HOT, which is honest, open, and two-way. Don't bring in your biases, don't bring in your assumptions, don't bring in indifference into those conversations, because those are the barriers to effective communication. So, if you really want to follow the principles, one is HOT, and the other one is the 3S strategy. Just keep it simple, take it slowly, and if it all fails, or in fact, that is the most important, bring your smile to that conversation. So, simple, slowly, and smile. Keep it hot, honest, open, and two-way. You will have an impactful conversation with the people, whether they're in your organization or whether they are home. And as a homemaker, as a woman, I always say the first organization that we are leading is the home. If we are successful at home, we can lead the world. And the same principles apply in our in our homes, and that's how we can rule the board. So these are how would I say that how should leaders communicate.
Absolutely. So yeah, so when we're talking about this communications, there is the people are talking about sometimes like a effective communications. Is there any kind of the difference between the communication and effective communications?
So, Deep, what is communication? Communication is getting another person to take action. If the action has been taken, it is effective, otherwise, it was a failure.
Absolutely.
So, that is the key difference between effective communication and communication. Did you go and just talk, 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 and nobody did the work? That is failed communication. But if you spoke, you inspired, you connected, you were able to reach people, change their thought process, you were able to establish common ground, that means you are effective, an effective communicator. So that is the key difference. If you're able to get people to take action, then
Got it.
you have effective in your communication.
Can you give some example about the effective communications? So that would be, I feel it will be the easy for the viewer to understand the things.
Imagine, Sudeep, that there, let's just talk about it from a breakdown on nowadays, most of our communication happens on the phone, right? Okay. Now imagine you had told somebody that I will be late, right? And there's a meeting that you are supposed to be going for, and you the only message that you have left is that I will be late for this meeting. You have not told the person why you're late, what is the follow up action, what action needs to be taken if that person is not arriving on time. Now, what has happened? The recipient of this message that I will be late already has now created a bias in their mind that is this person actually worthy of my time? Is this person actually a hardworking person? Is this person someone that I want to be working with? Or next time I might just say, that's it. I don't want to work with him. Do I have time now to go back to ask that person that can you clarify that why will you be not there? If you're in a position of power and authority, you don't have time to ask a junior sending you these messages. You already have your mind set that the next time there is a appraisal meeting, there's no way this person is going to be getting the next bonus, right? Now the same thing, if the message had been said that I will be late to this meeting because I have to be at the hospital, for example, and I need, there was an emergency, and this is the medical certificate. These are the documents that need to be submitted to the board in case I am not able to reach. The same thing, can you deliver it to the superiors? I will come back and take action. Now, there's a difference. Vague versus detailed. There was action that was required from the other person and no area of assumption left in the mind of the recipient. So when you are communicating, don't go in with assumptions. Text messaging are without emotions. We see how we read, and in the state that we have received that message, we automatically might think that, oh, this person is angry with me, that's why they're sending me this message, because there is no emotion. And that's why a lot of times nowadays we are encouraging the emoji cons to be added into our communication, because we're trying to humanize that entire experience. And if it's possible, we can do it. So in order to ensure that people are left with assumptions and are not left with confusion and are not left with questioning your credibility, ensure that you have addressed the effective communication by answering what action needs to be done, what needs to be said, who is going to be doing it, how is it going to be done, when is it going to be done. So back to the 3W and the H principle: who, what, why, and how. Go back to that and frame your thoughts and send that message. You'll say, I'm too busy. Well, too busy would also mean that you might lose your job. Yeah.
Yeah,
I hope I was able to give the answer
exactly. Yeah. It's a good example. So you have given the real life example. Yeah. So yeah, my next the questions to you. So yeah, so how should leaders communicate in the workplace? Is there any kind of the specific
I
kind of the
think
communication?
this one I have already answered, Sudeep, which is going to be just keep your conversation hot, keep your conversations using the 3S principle. And that way, if you are having hot conversations and you are using the 3S, you should be effectively communicating with your team. And don't
Definitely. Yeah.
forget to connect with them. That's the most important thing, because in order to lead, you need to be able to influence them so that they can take action, and that requires you to go beyond words.
Correct. Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. So for just give some suggestion to the people, those who are really facing the challenge in terms of
Mhm.
the communication in the workplace. What
Mm,
kind of the message you want to pass to them? Because there is a lot of leaders I have seen,
mm,
they're so-called leaders, but that they
mhm,
don't know how to pass the message to their subordinates or the peers or the maybe the superior.
yeah. So I think that most important, Sudeep, is that before you speak, listen. A leader needs to practice listening more than speaking. But the problem is that when we get that title, our egos come in space. And as a result, we like to hear our voice more than listening to what people are saying. So we shut the voices. So I believe that the first part is start listening to the echoes that are happening around you. And when you're able to listen to those echoes, ask the right questions. And when you can ask the right questions, you will be able to give your team the autonomy to actually take action by knowing what they have to do rather than you micromanaging and dictating everything to them. So
Absolutely.
you got to be so effective communication is not only about speaking. I have asked today, in fact, most of it has been about the non-verbal communication. It's about connecting, right? So that's non-verbal. And the second most powerful thing that a leader needs to have is the ability to listen. God gave us two ears and one mouth, but we use our mouth more than our ears. That's just us
Correct.
because we love to hear our own voice.
Correct. Correct. Thanks everyone. So those who are listening to us, these particular conversations about the communication, leaderships, their connections and all. So just follow me in the YouTube so you can revisit the things. And thanks Kiran for your time in this particular talk show. So we are closing this particular the talk
Thank
show
you so
now.
much to all the viewers, and thank you so much to Sudeep. I wish all of you to become amazing leaders who can speak hot and they can have the 3 year strategy. And I want to leave everyone with that message that speak to be heard because your voice matters. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.